everybody, it's Danielle Damianov with Wind Down Wednesday, and I am here today. I'm so excited. I'm with Phil Sessions with Speaking Sessions. He is also a member of my mastermind group, Apex, and very excited to be here and talk to you about speaking and everything. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about who you are, where you come from, and stuff like that?
Hey, Danielle, thanks for having me. So excited to be here. Yes, so I have an interesting background. First and foremost, Christian, father, husband, engineer by trade, but do speaking coaching on the side currently, but building that up. But I'm actually a logistics automation specialist for BMW manufacturing. So you may wonder, how in the world do speaking and engineering logistics all go hand in hand? Well, they don't at the surface, but for you to be able to level up in your company or level up in your life, speaking is very important. And could you imagine having somebody come onto your podcast who can't speak well, or somebody to represent your company that can't speak well? You probably wouldn't have them do that. So being able to speak well is vital in your life and in your business. And so that's what I do now on the side. And so I deal with autonomous robots. So basically robots that drive themselves to go deliver parts at BMW. But then I also help people speak better. So rather than me speaking to robots, now I speak with people and help people be able to speak better so they can get on stage and be able to share a message.
That's probably why you started this. You didn't have anyone to speak to all day.
Yeah, exactly. I got tired of speaking to computers and robots, so I decided to start speaking to people.
Tell me a little bit though, because and we're going to get into the speaking, but the logistics part of it, like, do you grow up one day saying I want to do this? Like, how does that happen? And it sounds super complicated. So can you just quickly tell us like what your actual main job is right now?
So I made a little bit of transition. What I was doing when I first started with BMW is actually programming the automation behind building the cars. So essentially, robots and computers will talk to each other and say when they can go do a process. So pick up this car part, put it over here, weld it once it's there, and so on and so forth. And it builds the car. And we build the X3, X3M, X4, X5, X5M, X6, and X7 and X7M at the plant that I'm at there in Greenville, South Carolina. But I went from that, so programming the automation in the body shop specifically, where all the metal's put together, to actually delivering parts to the line. And so I didn't do the development of the robots, but I'm essentially steering as we bring them in and roll them out. And I'm on the production side and I'm in charge of making sure we bring in new automation so we can create efficiencies within the company so we can get more reliability and accuracy with that as well. Because the famous thing everybody likes to say is that robots can work in the dark, because once you train them, they do the same thing over and over again. But humans have errors within themselves. So that's, I guess, in a nutshell, if you will, what I do. I help steer the team that also works with that. And so I've got a team that I work with and that work for me, that we help direct and automate all the processes within the plant of delivering parts from trailers to the line so that people can load the line. And eventually we'll probably get there. It'll take a while, but we'll maybe end up putting robots in some places that are unsafe to be able to load parts. I mean, most of the places are safe, but somewhere that maybe there's a lot of injuries happening, like ergonomic wise, shoulder pain, stuff like that, that will end up putting robots there to kind of help with that and help mitigate those injuries for the humans.
Wow, that's so interesting. It's so interesting and I don't know. So anyway, so you started speaking sessions, which is what I really want to talk to you about, because I
Mm-hmm.
do a lot of speaking. I do a lot of classes. I had a great time with you on your podcast the other day. And communication is really the most important thing, whether you're communicating with your spouse, whether you're communicating with your kids, or you're on stage giving a speech. So how did your whole speaking session start? And I think it's cool, right? It's your last name.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you
So
start with that?
yeah, so it started with the desire. I wanted to get on stage myself and trying to figure out what exactly that was. Because, like most people that have a desire to get on stage, they start with, "Well, I want to get on stage, but what does that look like?" And I had to start thinking about it. What do I really want to talk about? And it's kind of funny because I really talk about communication, which is being on stage and communicating, but I talk about that process and how you can create that impact. So that's what I really go up and talk about on stage, is how you as the business owner can create impact within your company through communication, and how you can actually start working more on the business versus in it. Because as a business owner, you're typically at the 30,000-foot view, you're above the trees, you say everything in the horizon, but how do you pass that information down to the people that work underneath you so they can see that? Because they're there in the trees, all they can see is the trees right around them, but they don't know where we're supposed to be going. They don't know that there's this huge river on the other side of all this forest here that we're trying to get to, so we can get our water resources, if you will, or get to that destination. So how do you pass that information down in a way that they can understand? And so that's what I focus on, helping business owners be able to create that communication gap that's typically there. But I got started with that through my desire to be on stage, but then also I had a short stint in HR. So again, another crazy thing I did, engineering to HR, now back to engineering, and then over to logistics. But within that, one of the competencies that was missing, the skill gaps, was communication and presentation skills. And I was like, there's something here. I mean, if BMW is identifying this, I know other people are identifying this. And I saw that growing through going to engineering school and being around engineers, that there's huge communication gaps and between management, engineers, and all that stuff. There's so many communication gaps. I was like, there's really something here. And I like this a lot more than when I first started with coaching. It was more of fitness coaching. I was like, I like this a lot more, and I know I can help impact more people with that, versus helping individuals or groups of individuals get better with their fitness and their health. And so that's really how I got started with the public speaking and helping people with that.
I love it. I love it because it is definitely a need and it's a niche. Like it's a cool little niche that you have going on. So tell me, did you do like start going to Toastmasters, or did you start like reading all these different books, or where did you kind of get the content to develop this type of coaching business and speaking business?
Yeah, three places. So you mentioned two. Toastmasters definitely was help with structuring myself to get better and get feedback directly from peers. Also reading books, learning a lot from that. But then trial by error. I mean, I post a lot of videos on YouTube and Instagram, Facebook, and all the social media platforms, and then have the podcast as well. So really that trial and error is where I've learned a lot. And then watching other people. So I guess the fourth one, watching other people speak and hearing how they speak and how they draw the audience in, are things that I'm like, oh man, like that's just a turn off. And one thing, if you start hearing somebody every other word, they're always stuttering and using these filler words, you're like, oh my gosh, so it just makes you not want to be that person. So learning from good and bad speakers alike, but more good than bad. But those four things is really how I started learning about public speaking.
So I think Toastmasters has all of you really listening for the ums and the
Hmm.
ahs, and then it's like, oh my gosh, such a huge turnoff. That's the thing with me. Like when I teach classes and stuff like that, I always I watch what other speakers are doing, people that I like. Like I love Mel Robbins, I love Ed Milet, and you can see exactly what they're doing. And you can also see Ed Milet, for example, 4 years ago, and Ed Milet today, how much he has evolved as a speaker and a storyteller. And that's really what a lot of great speakers are, is they're storytellers. They have the
Hmm.
message that they want to get across, but they're very, very good in their delivery, which a lot of times comes within a story, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, you have to have that story. If you don't, the old saying, facts tell, stories sell. I
Right.
mean, if you're not telling a story and engaging somebody or helping them relate, that's what the story does. It helps them relate with what you're trying to educate them on, or how you're trying to show that your product works for them and fits in with their life. But if you just say, hey, yeah, this product will help you be better. Okay, cool. Well, tell me a story of how this product has helped somebody. be better. And then I'm going to believe that a lot more than you just saying, yeah, if you buy my product that's $9.99, you can get better at public speaking, or you could get 6% off your mortgage rate, like, or something like that. It's like, okay, well, show me that, or tell me more in a story, and that's going to help a
Yeah.
lot more. So, telling that story is definitely more beneficial and engages that audience more than just telling facts.
Exactly. What are a few tips that you can give to anybody that wants to get started or wants to get on stage? Where should what are the resources that they should be kind of looking for to prepare themselves to be able to do that?
So if you're brand new, start with Toastmasters. Even if you have some experience, if you haven't been on a ton of stages, I would say start with Toastmasters. That gives you a great base. One thing I don't, or I'll say two things I don't really like about Toastmasters, is that it's so structured that you only get to do the certain thing, and you have to follow this path that they have. So I don't like that because of that structure necessarily. And then also, it's only 5 to 7 minute speeches most of the time. They have a couple that are like 20 to 30, but you don't get those that often. And somebody trying to speak on stage, you're looking anywhere from 20 to 60 minutes for most stages. So if you're only practicing 5 to 7 minutes, it's like trying to go from sprinting, running a 100-meter dash, to doing a marathon. Like, you're going to crash and burn because you're not used to going that long. You don't have the endurance of speaking. So
Right.
Toastmasters is a great start. And then start a podcast and get on social media and start posting. You have to build up your credibility. If you want to get on stage, you have to build up that credibility. And you also have to get your message out there, because if I've never seen you before, and that's the new business card. So if I've never seen you before, never heard about you before, I'm going to start researching you. And if I can't find anything on social media, I don't have anything that's telling me how great you are, then
Yeah,
why am I going to invite you to stage? So you
exactly.
use that as your business card, start posting on social media and using podcasts to help get your message out and get practice at speaking. Now, it's obviously different than speaking on stage because there's this back and forth. It's more of a conversation, but still you'll get better at speaking through that repetition.
Exactly. And I think also, the thing about Toastmasters is I've never been in, I've gone to a couple of Toastmasters,
Mm-hmm.
so I've seen what they do in there. They give you a topic, right? And they say, okay, you need to come and speak on that topic. But a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times, if you're going to give a speech to somebody, the topic that you're going to
Yeah.
speak,
Yeah.
right? So at Toastmasters, you got to come up with a speech over a topic that you might have zero interest in. And
Mm-hmm.
so is that kind of how it can work? Or I just want to
So they
make
give you, yeah, they give you like generalities of what you can talk about, and you can make it to your topic. I know one, for instance, to talk about like social media, and it's like, I can't remember exactly, but it talked about social media. So I talked about the importance of posting on social media and everything. So I crafted it to what I wanted to speak about and made it a little more interesting. But it is like you kind of have to go through this pathway, and the opportunities, there's not enough opportunities for you to really get good at speaking. I mean, it's a great resource, and it's like $100 a year. So if you're really trying to find something, if you don't have money to invest into a coach, it's a great place. And like I said, you get that feedback, and there's also active listening as well. So you get feedback from people, but then you can also watch somebody's speech and learn from that, because you can pick up, hey, you did this well, or here's something you can work on. And you learn how to give constructive criticism, which is also something we all need to work on. But it helps you pick up on things that person did well or not so well, and then you can go back and implement for yourself. So it's a great way to get that exposure as well, without having to try and veg out on YouTube and see speakers, or go spend thousands of dollars at speaking events to see speakers, even though they may be more polished, but you can actually see them up front and in person there at Toastmasters. So it's a great resource, and I don't mean to knock it, but yeah, it was a little limited with, hey, here's the pathway. You got all these different topics you can talk about, and there's a good amount. But like you said, it's not on your passion. And if you're trying to build your brand and talk about your message, you can work through it and try and make it fit. But if you're trying to go through the pathway like they want you to, it's hard to talk about what you want to talk about.
right. I think it's a great base.
Yeah,
And then I'm sure you
definitely.
can go on YouTube and find different, little things on YouTube. And I hear a lot of people, and I've never done this, but a lot of people take comedy classes. because
Hmm.
they need to get funnier, or like, so that way they can put little jokes and stuff like that in their speeches. Why don't
Yeah, yeah.
tell everybody a little bit about what your goal is with getting the people on stage and what your thought process is with that. And are you going to have anything coming up so people that do want to get on stage can reach out to you?
Yeah, so I want to go back real quick with the comedy clubs. That's definitely a great way once you have some practice building, once you have experience to be able to get better at creating humor, and really good for podcasting because podcasting a lot of times is off the cuff speaking. Wow, clearly I'm doing great at speaking right now. but but anyways, but it's great for that, but it's not great if you don't have that good base yet from Toastmasters, the actual prepared speaking, because it's all impromptu, but it's still a great way for you to get better at speaking. So if you're in sales as well, it's a great way to help you out there. But as far as my process, so what I've done is I've created a free group and a podcast, which is also free for people to get tips and tricks, for free, and learn from other speakers on the podcast to be able to learn there. And then I have a group coaching program, which we get on a coaching call every single month, and it go from an hour to 2 hours long, just depends on how long everybody wants to talk and everything. But we'll go through and talk about any questions you have, and I'll usually have a training prepared. If everybody's got a ton of questions, I won't do the training, but if they don't, then I have a training prepared. So it's not like we're just going to sit there and, hey, how's your day going? But we go through that. I also live stream all my podcast guests, so you're able to ask questions in there and learn from those guests firsthand. And then, of course, give more details, more tips and tricks, and video trainings within that group coaching. Now, one thing I'm working on, which goes to my ultimate goal, is to put 1,000 people on stage right now. Until I get there, then I'll make that goal like 1 million people on stage. But I have to develop my network currently of event coordinators and public relations people. So that way, somebody basically through coaching, I can make sure that they're ready to go. They have their avatar and everything set up, which is part of what I do within the group coaching, and also do it in one-on-one coaching, is help you figure out what your message is, what your 1 to 3 keynote speeches are on stage. But once you have that all set up, because some people are ready to go, they're polished speakers, they have a great following, they have a great message. Now they just need to go on stage. And so my ultimate goal with my coaching is to have that opportunity that you pay me X amount of dollars and I connect you on, let's say, 10 stages over the next 12 months. And I give you that guarantee that you're going to get on 10 stages in 12 months to be able to create more impact and grow your following, which then, of course, goes back to creating more impact in this world, which most people want to do that. And then also creating more income because you get more brand awareness and recognition. And so that's kind of the vision of all of this. And then as far as upcoming events, I have one as of our recording. It'll be past once this gets launched, but it's my first event I've created myself. Really excited about it. And it'll be an annual thing that I do, but it's helping get small business owners the tools that they need to help them be better in business. And it's partially a networking event as well. So I bring in speakers to speak on different topics within business, and then also have a networking portion for those of the people that come that are local. They can network with local speakers. That's a huge, or not local speakers, sorry, local business owners, because that's a huge part of developing and building your business is your network, because your network is your net worth. And I'm
Exactly.
working on an event. We had some issues with an event that we are going to do in October, so we've had to postpone it. But the plan is to have another mastermind event where it's a small, intimate event, about 30 to 40 people, where we help the business owners start working on their business instead of in their business. So they're going to learn, build a network, and it's going to be an experiential event. So we're going to be doing activities as well, and not just sitting there in a conference room listening to business owners talk about how they've built and scaled their business, and how they're basically the investor of their business and not just the CEO or CFO or whatever that looks like within their business. And so help people get to that next level to be able to create more impact by being able to work on that business instead of in it.
I love it. Yeah, no, that's awesome. So tell me, why don't you tell everybody where people can find you if they want to, whether get into the group coaching, maybe have a one-on-one conversation with you, and then also your Facebook group. So what's your Facebook group, and then where can people find you? And I will make sure that it's all in the video as well.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, the Facebook group is Speaking with Confidence. That's a free group, so you can start there. If you want to be in the paid group, you can go onto my website, speakingsessions.com, click on coaching, and you can find it in there. And that's the Speaking Sessions Lounge. But then you can also find me on Facebook. It's probably the best place. It's facebook.com/the real Phillip Sessions. So it's probably the best place on social media to find me.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for being on here. I think what you're doing is amazing. It's so important, obviously communication. And then you never know, maybe this will be your full-time gig and the robots will be a thing of the past, right?
Right, right. Yeah, I don't want them to start taking over, but yeah, definitely. Hopefully, that'll become a thing of the past for me here in the near future. But for sure, definitely building up the speaking coaching business as I move forward.
Awesome. I love it. So everybody, Phillip Sessions, thank you so much. The information is in this video. If you want to reach out to him to talk about public speaking or anything that has to do with public speaking, he is the go-to. And once again, it's Danielle Damianov with your Wind Down Wednesday, your local mortgage broker and real estate course creator. And thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Phillip.
Thank you.